Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build, and today we're up in the Savage Divide building basically an Alpine cottage-style camp that's come out in quite an interesting shape, so I quite like this one. So, let's jump into it. Okay, so I wanted to do something this week that's a little bit different. Hopefully has a slightly more interesting shape and uses a few bits and pieces that I don't generally use very often, as frankly they're a bit awkward on occasion. And yeah, quite happy with how this has come out. It's a little different. It's got a very Holdy Cottage vibe. Let's have a little look at where we are on the map. As you see, there's my isolated little house there, just up in the Northern Savage Divide, behind Hopewell Cave, just a little bit over to the west of us there. There's Sylvie and Sons logging camp. There's actually a kind of almost hidden valley over here, just behind Hopewell Cave, that you don't see many people building in, because it's kind of a beaten track. And it's a good little spot. I'm quite happy with this one. So, as you can see, nice open flat area, cleared it off, and we've got one of the foundations in already. Spent a little bit of time trying to make sure this was going to face the right way, sort of with the lay of the land and stuff. So, let's get these foundations in. For the main building, we're looking at a 2x4 at the back with a 2x2 sticking forward off the front here. There we go, dead simple little shape. Let's get all of these facing the same way. Got to have our floors looking neat. And we'll move on to the walls. Dead simple build, this one. Spent a while faffing to figure it out, but once you got it figured out, it's not so bad. So there's the lower section at the front. I'm going to use a couple of different heights for this building. And we're on the log cabin set again, basically because I wanted some colour contrast with the glass walls here, particularly the metal of them. And I didn't really want the log cabin set, but the contrast is much better with it, so it kind of won out by default there, but it looks alright. Get a couple of doors in here. These are actually positioned in the right place for snapping more walls in a minute, but we are going to bump them forward in a bit to close the gap. In the meantime, I'm going to put a couple of doorways just over this gap here, because I'm going to do something interesting over the top of it, and I'm going to need some support in order to do that. So, on to the top section. This is where it gets interesting. Build order is quite important for this, so if you want to recreate something like this, then keep a close eye on that. We'll get these triangles in first. I want some glass ones on the lower section here. Create a little arch that's going to be a window, and then we'll close up the section above it. So we're going to need angles to go with the roof, so we can use these sloping wall pieces. These can be a bit finicky sometimes, which is why we need to make sure we've got proper support underneath, and sort of mix them up, switch them around, and try to figure out which piece is actually going to snap which way round. Sometimes it's not immediately obvious. Up next, we'll get the roof in, and this is going to start providing some support for the walls once we pull the bottom section out. It's going to kind of support it from above. So if you don't do that, you might have some issues with removing those doorways in a moment. We'll close off the roof on this lower section first as well, just to get that bit done. In fact, this will also provide a bit of support, so that's not such a bad thing either. A couple of windows on the end. I do like using these triangle pieces as windows. And let's take those doors off rather. And we can close the last two gaps up using a couple of inverted triangles as well. Again, these are finicky too, but if you haven't got it in the right order, they won't snap in, so little persuasion required. There we go. Swap them out, mess around with them until it decides it wants to play ball, and there we go. One nice little set piece in place. So we're going to run a little veranda around the outside of this front section here. It'll give us somewhere to put the crafting benches during the decoration phase and make the shape a little bit more interesting, and make access to these doors a little smoother as well. Could just put staircases there, but I like the look a little more with a porch out here. Veranda kind of thing. We'll pop these doorways forward so that we close up that little gap on the side. It actually still works with the pieces above for some bizarre reason, but if it's happy to do that, great. It's going to look much neater. There we go. And we'll move on to getting some fences on the outside of this veranda in just a moment, once we've got some stairs in. Here we go. There's our front entrance. Just going to use these basic garden fences here, because they look quite good on this one. A little bit of extra height works with the rest of the build as well. As we've got a reasonably tall one, considering it's only a single-story camp. There we go. Nice and easy. That's basically the main structure done. There's a couple of things I want to tweak before we head off, though. I'm going to swap these front foundations out that I'm using for the kind of veranda here for concrete ones. The reason for that being, I'm going to use a stone kind of texture on them. And if you do that on the wooden ones, you still get wooden footstep sounds, which just doesn't sound right. It's a bit jarring, you know. Stepping on what would appear to be stone and then getting that wooden clunk is a bit weird. Unfortunately, however, I have here run out of concrete, so I'll have to finish this off camera. And we're also changing these two side sections out inside as well, because I'm going to put a kitchen on one of them and I want it to match up. So for this central section, we're going to keep this with the wooden foundations. I'm just going to put some carpet down on it, make it look a little cozier. A little faff through my various flooring options and make my mind up on what I'm going to use. There's a few good possibilities here, but the one I chose, this one, ends up looking kind of holiday cottagey to my mind. But it works, it looks reasonably comfortable. So we'll run that all the way down here, as this section is going to be my bedroom. I suppose you could use it as a crafting space if you wanted to, but I kind of like the idea of having it as a bedroom. And we're just going to change these out for some mosaic floors as well, again, because one of these will be a kitchen, and the other one might as well match, and then it looks even. Getting a few ideas here as well. There we go, we'll use the Guild of Antiquities one, but there's a few options available that work fine there as well. Match it up on the other side. And we'll just head around the outside, and we're going to swap these out for the haunted house tiles, these ones, because they look suitably beaten up and like they've been outside for quite a while, so it kind of makes sense to my eye. So there we go, we'll do the last few in a bit when I've got some more concrete, but for now, let's head off and decorate this thing before we have a look at the finished tour. So there we go, done and dusted. Really like the look of this place. As usual, heavy lifting being done by the decoration in my builds. I do like how this has come out. About 2/3 or so of the build budget on this is actually decoration. The crops have a lot to do with that. But they add a little bit of extra texture around the sides and stuff as well. I added a few extra bits and pieces on here. I moved the Collectron out to the outer edge here. I did originally have it on the sort of veranda there, but the actual Collectron himself kind of got in the way, so moved him outside to get him out of the way there. Gone for the solar panels on this particular build, mostly because I didn't want the noise from any of the other generators, and I needed a few of them just to get enough power for the decon arch. Got a little shower space out back here as well. Got to have that rainwater for our rather cold, I imagine, shower. And I tucked the porter cabin on the back there as an afterthought, because I forgot to put a bathroom in this place, but it wouldn't have worked inside really anyway, so wanted to keep the open plan vibe, as we'll see in a minute. Put a couple of flags on the outside wall there just to break up the otherwise blank texture. And I've used a few trees and stuff around the back here and a few brambles just to kind of bring the sort of environment in towards the build a bit. Otherwise the structure just kind of looks like it's standing on its own in the middle of a clearing, which is fine, but I kind of like the idea of bringing the environment a bit closer to the building. There we go, we'll pan on around. About the only place really to put the power armor station was here on the front. Anywhere else it would have just looked kind of in the way, and you'd have had to sort of move around it. But I like how that looks. Got a few extra bits and pieces around it as well to dress it up. Crammed a load of workbenches inside and a whole bunch of extra decoration as well. The place is looking fairly busy, but I like how it looks. You've got just enough room to path down the centre there as well, so does the job. Busy and lived in out here, and we'll head on inside. We do need some better door options for these glass walls, but this kind of broken greenhouse thing does kind of work, so happy with that for now. So we've got quite a large internal space here, so I've used some larger pieces of furniture to decorate with, like that organ, and I don't use that very often, so made a nice change. Looks quite good in here. I've gone for a big sofa and a nice kind of set-piece central area here as well that I like the look of. I like how the kitchen came out as well. We'll have a closer look at that in a section. See our windows on the top there and our sort of arched wall here. Looks pretty good and makes a nice set piece in the building. I really like how that's come out. Looks a bit more interesting than just a straight up boring old wall. So pretty pleased with that. Couple of desks, whole bunch of stuff, mostly here for decoration around the bedroom area. Decided to use a different bed for a change. Still bugs me this one doesn't have any covers on it, so I threw a sleeping bag on the top anyway. A few plushies around for a bit of extra decoration. I'd like a few more things that look suitable on a desktop as well, but we do what we can with what we have available. Put the foosball table in there, because why not? Well, a bit of dead space otherwise there, so. Again, matching up the back wall there, making it look a little interesting. Nice little focal point with the fireplace there. Looks cool, happy with how that's come out. And here's our little kitchen. So, Tipsy Tom set again, just to create the sort of worktops there. I do like how that looks. I had to pull a couple of those out and then put the cooking station in first and then snap the bar pieces back in to create the worktop, as they'll snap back closer to the cooking station than you can get them to sit if you do it in the other order. So build order being quite important there as well, but really like how that came out. Nice little bit of decoration on it too. We'll head back out to the last little section of the veranda here with the weapons and armor benches. Again, really clustered this up, made it look as busy as I could. Really happy how this one's come out as well. The little worm farm there for a bit of fun as well. So there we go. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm quite happy with this little camp. If you did like the video, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very, very much appreciate it. As per usual, down below the video you can find social media links, the merch store, and channel memberships as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, I hugely appreciate it. It really, really helps out. So massive thank you to everyone who's done that. And if you get the chance, do join us for live streams as well. Of course, we are continuing playing Fallout 76, and we've just started Mass Effect 3 as well, continuing our playthrough of that trilogy. So really happy to be on with that one, so I hope you'll join us for those. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.